Good morning, guys. Welcome to today's Amplified session. And today I'll be talking about adaptive reuse, second life of buildings. And we're going to be talking about 5 things today. Number 1, what is adaptive reuse? Topic 2, why not just start all over? Topic 3, advantages of adaptive reuse. 4, disadvantages or challenges, rather. And we're going to pick out 4 case studies on buildings that have undergone adaptive reuse. Then the last thing is our conclusion. So what is adaptive reuse? Adaptive reuse simply refers to the process of reusing an existing building for a purpose other than what it was meant for. That is, restructuring an existing building, reusing it and changing it from what it was originally being used for to another design. This process can be applied in different facilities such as mosques, museums, residential buildings, and offices. Adaptation of existing old buildings results in many tangible and intangible benefits to the public and governments. Why not just start all over? Adaptive reuse is a sustainable alternative to starting over with new construction. That means it's way cheaper, considering the labor, considering the energy, considering the time being spent. Instead of scrapping out the whole building, you can basically renovate it. It allows for the use of existing buildings, preserving their appearance, design, cultural heritage, and historic significance while serving a new function. This process not only reduces the need for construction materials and wastes, but also minimizes the environmental impacts associated with demolition and new constructions. Advantages: maintaining cultural heritage. It maintains cultural heritage by repurposing an old or unused building for new functions while retaining their historical and architectural value. There are some buildings that you can't just pull down. We're going to see that in one of our case studies as I move further. There's a building that you can't just take down because they have been there for ages. They have been there for long. Some laws won't just allow you to take them down. You just have to change them or use them for another different purpose. Then reduce construction costs. Adaptive reuse project can often be significantly cheaper rather than having to demolish and rebuild. We all know that renovating is more cheaper than having to rebuild, starting from scratch. Economic advantages. It can increase property value, create jobs, and stimulate local economies by revitalizing underused areas. We're still going to talk about this one more on one of the case studies. And challenges: regulatory and legal barriers, zoning issues. Most cities have strict use categories. If a building is zoned as industrial but you want to make it residential, you may face a long, expensive battle for variance and rezoning. That's if you have a commercial building and you're planning to change it to residential, or trying to use it for another purpose, you might check the zoning laws or the regulatory laws. They might not permit you to do so. Inaccuracy of information. Often the architectural drawings for an old building are lost or flat out wrong. This leads to costly delays when reality doesn't match the plan. Imagine trying to work on a building that was 60 or 50 years old, or maybe 30 years old. To get all the architectural drawings might seem a little bit difficult, or even very, very difficult to get them back or to recover them. Physical restrictions. The existing floor layout, arrangement of columns, and other structural members may not be ideal for the new use of space. Compromisations are inevitable to fit the requirement in given structure. Nevertheless, it can be an opportunity to use the space creatively and add the value to it. And these are our case studies. The High Line is in USA, Chapel on the Hill in UK, Jegelsborg Water Tower in Denmark, and Kennedy School, Portland. It's an elementary school that was later converted to a hotel. So this one now, it's in USA. It's a railway. It was used to transport farm produce like meats and crops from marketplaces to warehouses without disturbing the flow of traffic on the main express. If you can look at the picture, this is the main express here, and this is where the railway was before it was later converted. Elevated freight railway line built in 1934 was used to transport meat and produce directly into warehouses without disrupting street traffic. This is the street. This is the main street traffic. So it was elevated, and the train can easily pass without causing any traffic on the main expressway. Key transformation. After sitting abandoned for decades, the track was transformed in 2009. That it was used from 1934 to 2009 into living walkway. The design features a blend of agriculture and architecture with native plantings that mimic the wild greening that grew on tracks during the abandonment. This is how it was before. This is a picture of how it was before. And this is a picture of how it was too before, when it was abandoned. Before it was later changed to this, just like a tourist park, just for walks and for relaxation. And this one is a chapel on the hill. It's a church building in the United Kingdom, Teesdale. It was also abandoned for decades too. It was completed in 2015. Renovation restored the original structure, reopening Gothic windows to flood the interior with natural light and offering panoramic views of the surroundings. The chapel was left abandoned for decades. So later on, they later thought of renovating it to make a guest house for residents or for tourists around that area, instead of just leaving it to deteriorate like that. This is a picture of the interiors. And now, the water tower in Denmark, the Jørgensborg water tower in Denmark, is one of the most celebrated examples of adaptive reuse. This tower, the main purpose of it in that time was to supply the community with water. The community had limited water then. But as time goes on, the community started having advanced water systems. So they did not need this again. So it was just left there. A big concrete water tank was just left there without use. Built in 1955, it was a functional water tower designed by Edvard Thomsen. Its primary job was to provide water pressure to the surrounding Gentofte community. By the late 1990s, the tower was no longer needed for water storage due to modernized pumping system, leaving the massive concrete shell in a prime residential area. That means it had no more use again, because each residential apartment or commercial apartment had their own modernized water pumping systems. You understand? So instead of abandoning it like that, it was turned to a vibrant multi-use community hub for that Gentofte community in Denmark. And this is a section showing the different compartments of the building is rather. Initially, this is the main tower, the main water tower, where the water is stored. So all these places, they were of no use before. This number 1 is the water tank. Number 2 and number 3, there are different types of apartments. That is 2 and 3. This place, 2, 3, 3 and 4, 2 and 4, the apartment building. Then number 5 are just like storage areas. Number 7, still storage areas and facilities. Number 8, workroom and accommodations. Then number 9, after school recreation scheme, multipurpose facilities, number 10, and 11 is cloakroom. And the last one we're going to talk about is the McMenamins Kennedy School in Portland, USA. This school too is also another example of adaptive reuse, because it was converted from a school building to a hotel, to a guest house. So the main purpose of transforming it from a school building to a hotel, the former classroom has been converted into several rooms, many of which still feature the original chalkboard cloakrooms and large windows. It's comprised of 57 rooms, both the classroom, the offices and everything, 57 rooms. Why it was converted is that they had decline in people in that area. So there were less children in that area to attend the school. So instead of leaving it abandoned like that, they rather turned it into a hotel. Kennedy School opened in 1915 as a state-of-the-art elementary school in northeast Portland. It served as a neighborhood elementary school for over 60 years. However, by 1970, the demographic of the neighborhood has shifted significantly. There were fewer families with young children in the area, leading to a sharp decline in enrollment. There were no more enrollment in the schools. The school was left vacant. For nearly 2 decades, the building sat abandoned for graffiti and vandalism, which led many city officials to view it as a menace that needed to be cleared. So they rather turn it into another thing that can also serve the community instead of bringing it down. The complex includes a movie theater housed in the auditorium. That was the students' auditorium now has been converted into a movie theater. The student cafeteria was later changed to a restaurant. The former courtyard, that is this that we're seeing now, the courtyard has been transformed into a heated saltwater swimming pool, accessible for both hotel guests and to the public too. Now we are going to talk about a little on adaptive reuse in Nigeria. Adaptive reuse is shifting the Nigeria landscape from a demolish and rebuild mindset to a conserve and evolve model. It turns liability buildings which are abandoned or decaying into assets, vibrant and income-generating spaces. And in summary, the future is already built. Adaptive reuse is ultimate form of development. By repurposing existing structures like the Gettysburg Water Tower or the High Line in USA, we significantly reduce carbon emissions associated with demolition and new construction. This project that I've just talked about, the four projects, the High Line USA, Chapel on the Hill UK, then the Water Tower and the elementary school, they prove that we don't need to really tear down our past to build a future, to build another future. We simply need the architectural vision to see the second life in every brick that we lay. Thank you.